Welcome to Rise with AI, the podcast that spotlights trailblazers in e-learning and professional training, helping you reach new heights, create impact, scale your vision, and empower others. Today, we're thrilled to have Cheryl Nankoo with us. Cheryl is an executive coach who has navigated a remarkable journey from consulting and IT in the UK to entrepreneurship, a decade in the corporate world in Dubai, and now a full-time commitment to her coaching practice with expertise in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and a passion for her transformative power of language. Cheryl helps clients make bold life leaps to unlock their potential. Her recent TED Talk, Rewriting Family: Lessons from Adoption, Identity and Language, and her mission to deliver value in every interaction make her a perfect fit for our show. Join us as we explore how Cheryl's unique approach empowers individuals to transform their lives and careers. Let's dive in. Welcome, Cheryl. Can you start by telling us about your coaching business and who you primarily work with?
Thank you for the introduction. So I'm Cheryl Nankoo, and I can tell you a little bit about my coaching business, which is recently established. And I'm mainly working with executives that are looking to transition into new roles, potentially looking to transition into different areas of their life, facing challenges, facing hurdles, basically people that, may just need someone to guide and ask the right questions to fully unlock their potential.
Beautiful. And your career actually has spanned consulting, IT, and also now coaching. How have these different experiences actually influenced the way that you run your coaching business today?
Yes, I think all of those elements have had a huge influence. So I started my career climbing that corporate ladder like many of us do. So I have those business insights from having worked for big organizations like Logica, PwC, Capgemini, and then was introduced to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, as you mentioned. And this has given me lots of different insights into the power of language, our mindset, and how all that comes together to help unlock our full potential. And then even lots of learnings coming from becoming a parent. And you mentioned my TEDx. A lot of those experiences through parenting, through adoption, has really enhanced my understanding of the power of language, how impactful it can be, not just in families, but also in leadership. And all that these experiences have shaped who I am today and shaped the way in which I coach.
And you mentioned about your TEDx talk. Can you also share an example how you actually use the power of language to help your clients right now achieve their goals or overcome challenges?
Yeah, so it's interesting because language, there are so many different elements to language. And quite often when I'm working with clients, it's about the self-talk. It's about what's going on in their minds, the messages that they're saying to themselves before they speak, before they take action. And we're not always aware of the thought patterns. We're not paying attention to what goes on in our minds, which is based on assumptions and our beliefs, which then influences the way that we speak. So I really support clients to understand some of the beliefs potentially that they have that are holding them back from their success.
And I remember from our previous conversation, you actually touched on how you left your corporate role and you have some body sickness, right, that you actually listened to. And I find that very fascinating because that's also one of the beliefs that you had to overcome. And could you also share to the audience how was that process for you?
Sure, yeah. So as you mentioned as well, I was in my corporate role in the UAE for 10 years. And there was something that was just not quite right for me. And I would almost say for 10 years, it almost felt like survival. Now that I'm out of it, that's what it felt like to me. And my role just wasn't purposeful enough, my everyday role. So every opportunity that I could find, I was delivering leadership workshops, having coaching conversations with my C-level clients to kind of avoid the day-to-day job that I was hired for. Now, early in 2004, I had a diagnosis on my left foot, a rare disease called Freiberg's disease. Just basically means I'm in a lot of pain, okay? I can't wear heels anymore. It's sad because I'm so small, but otherwise, I'm in pain, but now it's manageable. Okay. And that diagnosis was in January on my left foot, but I kept moving. I kept, doing my best to exercise and work around the pain. Then in February, the next month at Heathrow Airport, I fell and I fractured my little toe on my right foot.
Wow.
And it might sound small because it's only the little toe, but it was really painful. And doctors said that I may even need to have an operation.
Wow.
And, I had a walking boot on my right foot, this pain on my left foot, but every morning I would still wake up. I'm an early riser. I would go to the lake and just try to walk slowly around the lake. And as I'm walking, I'm asking myself, what's going on? What is my body telling me? Because I firmly believe in the mind-body connection. And I almost, sounds crazy, but I almost spoke to my feet. And, your feet is what grounds you. Your feet gives you stability. It grounds you. And then it was in that moment of having that conversation with myself that I realized that my life was totally off balance and I was no longer grounded. So I decided to take action. And as a coach, just with myself, I used the traditional tool, the Wheel of Life, where you look at all the elements of life. And I realized how low career was in my expectation of where I should be, of how I should feel satisfied. It was just so low. So I decided to take action and started thinking about, right, what is it that I want to do? Where I want to do more purposeful life. And I started to shape that new career. Now, a few weeks later, my whole body started to ache. And I thought there's something wrong. And I went to see my doctor. And he said, right, let's send you for an x-ray for your foot. And this is for the foot, the toe that I broke, which they said would take a very long time to recover and possibly need an operation. And I was so scared. I thought, I've been walking on the lake. Maybe something bad has happened and I shouldn't have been moving so much. And the results were remarkable. He actually said to me, the reason why your body is aching so much is because it's overcompensating and that your foot has healed. And it's one of the quickest recoveries that he had seen. And also rare disease is making progress. And, call it coincidence, but I firmly believe it's because I started addressing where, my problem was in my life by looking at my career and taking those actions to exit from, my 10-year career in the corporate world. So that's how a foot injury led to me then setting up my own company and, on that journey of entrepreneurship again.
Wow, that is amazing. Can you tell us more about any of the things that you actually help to heal, speed up this healing process?
So, I really believe that, there was lots of course, I was following as much as I could the medical advice, which is a given. But what I really did, as I mentioned, I looked at the Wheel of Life and then realized career was very low. And then I started to ask myself, what's important to me about my career? And this is a really good question to ask, to really look at your values, because what was important to me maybe 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, important to me now. And what was important to me were things like, making a positive difference in the world, having time to do more humanitarian work, purposeful about the work that I'm doing. I'm passionate about leadership, about people. Having those sorts of interactions. And this is the kind of action that I took. Then I started to ask myself, okay, so what would that career look like? And I also knew that I didn't want to be employed. And I've been an entrepreneur before, and I just reminded myself how I felt, focus a lot on the feeling, on how I feel at the end of each day, at the end of every client interaction. How do I want to feel? And this really helped them with kind of helping me visualize what that career should look like. It's like, and I also stopped thinking of it as career and started thinking of it as life, because I don't actually think about work-life balance. It's about work-life integration. And I can tell you now, it's been 6 weeks, and it feels like I'm not working, and I love that.
Yeah, so true. What I hear is, instead of seeing career as one part of your life, but then you see them in harmonious with other areas of your life, and so now work doesn't sound so dreadful. It becomes an integration of what you're actually doing.
Exactly. And I think that there has been, that shift in the industry where people are looking less at performance and more at purpose. People are not asking, am I good at this? Do these match my skills? They're asking, does this matter? Am I making a difference in the world? I really do think that we've moved on as well, as I say, from work-life balance to integration to identity. Who am I showing up as at work? Am I showing up as my true self? Or am I just going to put on an act and do a job? And I really do think that that's how a lot of people are thinking about their careers now.
In terms of, you mentioned right now you want to be your own entrepreneur, and in right now transiting from just being an employee to become your own entrepreneur, what are any specific strategies that you are actually implementing to attract your first wave of clients?
That's a really good question. Coming from the corporate world of 10 years in UAE, I mean, more than 20 years altogether, but 10 years in UAE. Initially, when I decided to leave, I was thinking about business strategy, target audience. My background is in sales, so kind of a sales campaign, LinkedIn reach outs, and so on. I've changed a little bit. So now what's happened, on the back of, the TEDx that I did was pure coincidence, okay? And on the back of that, I've had people come into me that are asking me, that the story was so relatable, because my children were adopted, and the TEDx is about that, a lot about adoption, but it really leans into the topic of identity and belonging, language, and it's amazing what's been coming to me, people that can relate to the story in different ways, and it seems as though something is shaping around that. So whilst I've got a bit of a strategy, my strategy is to also let the world come to me. Part of that, which may sound a bit fluffy, but it also gives me the flexibility. I think as an entrepreneur, you can be so rigid in the early days and think, this is what I'm doing. And also, seeing what comes to me is important. But otherwise, my main strategy is to meet people. I have a great network. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've had a great, client base. Just talking to a lot of different people across different industries, telling them not what I do, but who I am. Okay, identity, and seeing what opportunities come to me.
Not telling them what you do, but telling them who you are.
Absolutely.
Wow, impactful. And I think even in the marketing space, we have this thing called testing and refining. So I guess what you're actually doing right now is the same. Instead of pushing, your whatever that you are offering, you became the receiver, and you really just understand, because you have such a strong mission and the core identity that of who you want to serve. Like basically, you want to better your coaching is to make big, bold life leaps. So that could look different ways. So yeah, beautiful. And what was actually some of the challenges that you are facing right now in your coaching business? Any systems or processes that you plan to put in place to overcome that?
The biggest challenge for me has been just sorting out IT. I don't like it, right? And it's nothing major. It's just, my laptop and making sure I've got, this one sounds so basic, but things like, antivirus or my Outlook is working, etc. I don't like doing it. But what I will do, or what I'm realizing is I don't have to, right? So anything that
Yeah.
I find a challenge, my time is precious. I really want to spend my time focused on adding value, making a difference. Me sitting in front of my laptop trying to figure out how to work something isn't a good use of my time. So I have put, mechanisms in place where I've got people that I can call for support. I forgot those challenges because it's been a while since I ran my own company. But those kind of challenges that you take for granted when you're in the corporate world, because everything is kind of set up and ready for you. And now, yeah, I feel like throwing my laptop out the window, but that's not good either. So having that kind of support is useful. I think also it's lonely, in some ways, because it is me. So I'm making sure that I go out, and as I say, I like to meet people, talk to people, learn from other experiences as well, which is very important. And then the third thing that I'll say as a challenge is prioritization. I've become hyper aware of my patterns. So try, because now I'm not, I've got client work. Of course, there's deliverables and timelines of client work, but otherwise, how I spend my time is totally up to me. And I think for the first few weeks, I was just kind of all over the place. Oh, this is fun. I want to spend some time writing for LinkedIn or doing this. Whereas now I'm trying to think a bit more, okay, there's putting things into categories like marketing, revenue, business development, etc., and in the right proportions of time. I also, I believe in continuous learning, lifelong learning. I tend to put learning as a lower priority because just because. But what I've done now is normally 9 to 10 every morning, it's 1 hour learning, because I get hard stuff, all the stuff that I don't really think is that important, but it is important, just to get it out the way. So that's what I've been doing to help me focus on the things that tend to take a burner but are very important.
Can you share us on a glimpse of how your prioritization list might look like on a day-to-day?
Yeah, so I mean, so as I mentioned, I try and do the learning first thing. So actually, let me take a step back. Prioritization, number one, I go for my 5-kilometer walk every morning at 5:30 because health comes.
Yes.
So my children come first. So getting them ready, having time with them in the morning. And then once they leave, I lift weights for, about 30 minutes. So that is the way I start my day. I don't look at emails or anything. And, they're the most important things for me, family and health. And then in terms of once I, at my desk, so to speak, my virtual desk now, which could be anywhere, I do the 1 hour of learning, whatever that may be, learning, reading or something. And then I normally prioritize my client work that I have. And, I have got a marketing strategy. I'm using LinkedIn and I have a marketing strategy. So I'll spend time to make sure that I have my writing done for LinkedIn. That's probably what I do towards the end of the day. In the morning, I do also a business development. I'm thinking a bit more about, okay, who do I need to speak to and do those meetings. I pick my children up. I mean, it's summer holidays now, so they're at camps that finish at 1. So from 1 o'clock, I'm with my children. And, I spend a couple of hours with them after their camp, which is just so special to be able to do that.
Yes.
And, then in the afternoon, whilst they're playing, maybe 1 or 2 hours, I might do easy things like admin at the moment, like raising invoices or, setting up something I need to do. Very easy admin because the children are around and it's fine for them to disturb me. I always have dinner with them and put them to bed. And sometimes at 7, I come back to my desk. I love to work, so it might sound like back at 7. I love what I'm doing. So at 7, I'll come back to my desk again and spend a couple of hours, replying to emails and doing more work again. So yeah, that gives you a little bit of an insight into my day.
Yeah, what I see is, I think this all goes back to your initial work that you have done, what is really important in your life in general. Then you actually have when you talk about having a career as part of your life work, and everything just weave into together. So instead of focusing on just like a sprint of work, now that you prioritize your health and also your family, you also want to put them on a bigger chunk of your day, and then whenever else you can, then the works come in as well.
Absolutely. And I've always prioritized my health, okay? But when you're working in a busy corporate environment, I used to feel guilty for it. I've always prioritized family. I used to feel guilty for it. Like, oh, I shouldn't be spending 1 hour during work time with my kids. I no longer feel that guilt. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's the organization, it's the pressure I put on myself. I felt guilty because you're working for someone else. And now, hopefully my children have noticed a new me, that I'm not in a rush to, get back, answer a call or something. The time I have with them is the time I have with them. Yeah, committed.
Well, they did mention the real wealth is actually good health. So when you have a clear mental state, you can also provide that to the people around you. Thank you so much for all these insights that you have shared with us. So before we end, I have a few rapid questions to ask you. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I think so.
What's your go-to app for maintaining a good health?
There's one called How You Feel. Okay, it's a good app with lots of emotions and things. I think it's called How You Feel.
Second question. If you could master any skill instantly, what would it be?
To fly.
Number 3. What's one book that has greatly influenced your coaching business?
From Strength to Strength by Arthur C. Brooke.
So that's all for today's episode of Rise with AI. Cheryl, where can the audience find you online?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Cheryl Nankoo, under my name. Also on Facebook as The Nankoo, and also Instagram as The Nankoo.
Thank you. A huge thank you to Cheryl Nankoo for sharing your incredible journey and also insights on building a purpose-driven coaching business. My biggest takeaway is that you have to really understand what is your main priority in life, and then truly believe that whatever your identity is, your beliefs are, you can fulfill a meaningful life. So listeners, if this episode inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear, and tag us with Rise with AI. Don't forget to subscribe for more conversations with leaders in the e-learning and professional training. Until next time, keep reaching, impacting, scaling, and empowering.